we finally get to talk about Sunsoft, a company that sits right up there with Konami at the top of the NES music quality ladder. Their game quality record wasn't quite as pristine as Konami's, though. The sound crew over at Sunsoft really took their music seriously, and made a series of hardware innovations and worked some technical magic to craft what would become the Sunsoft sound. Almost no company used audio sampling as much as Sunsoft. They would incorporate short, real sounds in the audio tracks to give the music a more realistic sound. Obviously something like voice synthesis wasn't the cleanest thing yet in the late 80s.
The Adventures of Fire Billy.
But real instrument noises, if used correctly, could sound quite effective. A common Sunsoft trick was to use a sampled bass guitar note, repitched to any combination of notes to make a bass line. This produced a far more realistic sound than what the standard NES sound chip alone could offer. Some people like to refer to this as the Sunsoft bass, since it's the company this trick is most associated with. Another Sunsoft innovation was the 5B sound chip, which they developed themselves and which gave them 4 extra audio channels to work with, 3 for square waves and 1 for noise, on top of the NES's standard 5 channels. This greatly expanded the potential sound palette they had to work with. Unfortunately, this was only used in one game, Mr. Gimmick. One of the most fondly remembered Sunsoft games on the NES is Blaster Master. It's part side-scrolling and part overhead shooter. You play as Jason and your goal is to rescue Fred, your pet frog, who escaped from your house, touched a radioactive box and grew bigger, and fell down a hole. This is one of the weirdest plots ever, but it certainly stands out. And so does the musical score, written by Naoki Kodaka. Some of his other classic Sunsoft NES scores have been Spy Hunter and Super Spy Hunter, as well as Batman. Area 6 of Blaster Master is the obligatory ice level. There apparently are some very diverse subterranean landscapes on Earth. Normally your tank, Sophia III, controls very tightly and responsively, but here, as you might expect, there's some slipping and sliding going on to add to the challenge. The music here is a very impressive showcase of Sunsoft's abilities as a sound crew. There's a variety of different musical tones used to diversify the sound. There are times where 2 melody lines are playing the same thing, except one is slightly behind the other and quieter, giving a nice echo effect. Naoki Kodaka also uses a lot of tricks with volume changing, presenting a much broader sound palette that doesn't feel monotonous. I recommend Blaster Master's soundtrack to anyone. It's a masterpiece.